of the 20th century. Jacob Schiff is one of the richest men in America. He believes in the American Zion, the idea that America is the new home for the Jews, a place where Jewish people can be free from persecution. And he personally knows many famous people of the era. President Teddy Roosevelt, publisher William Randolph Hearst, literary giants like Mark Twain, O. Henry, Jack London, and the personal librarian of J.P. Morgan, myself, Bella Green. One day, something changes in his life. A Jewish pogrom in the Russian Empire. Jacob Schiff declares himself a personal enemy of the Russian Tsar. Shortly after, an opportunity for revenge presents itself.
Mr. Schiff! Mr. Schiff!
My friend Nathan.
Thank you so much for your generous donation to our hospital. In fact, that's the most generous donation our hospital has ever received.
You're very welcome, Nathan. And for God's sake, call me Jacob, all right?
Jacob. Lechai.
Lachai.
We ought to name a wing after you. I will raise this question with the board.
No, you will not.
Why?
Please, seriously. Do not ever name anything after me. Talmud says, twice blessed is he who gives in secret. I'm just happy to be able to give to a hospital that will even treat Jewish patients.
Well, we are a Jewish hospital after all.
Precisely. We need you. But the condition of Jews is improving in America, as you know, not just in medicine, but in all things. And all waves of immigration, they go through different phases of rejection, tolerance, and then ultimately acceptance. We Jews, we're due, huh?
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I overheard your conversation. Mind if I join in?
Please do.
Mr. Twig, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
As a Gentile and a native-born American, I have some thoughts, but I'm equally interested in yours.
Mr. Mark Twain, or should I say Mr. Sam Clemens? I read your article recently in Harper's Magazine concerning the Jews.
Will the persecution of the Jews ever come to an end? On the score of religion, I think it has already come to an end. On a score of racial prejudice and trade, I believe it will continue. But overall in America, I'm inclined to say that the Jews are making big strides, putting themselves in a good position to succeed.
Well, you could consider my story. I came here from Frankfurt, Germany, when I was just 18 years old and I had nothing. And now, America's been wonderful to me. Now, I'm not saying America's wonderful to all immigrant Jews, of course not. But I will say that the odds for an immigrant Jew here are better than they are for a native Jew almost anywhere.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. America has become our Zion, our promised land, and it's not only about success. This is about acceptance.
Right. You see, that's why I find all this fashionable talk about a Jewish state in Palestine to be unpersuasive. There are insurmountable practical problems to be putting a Jewish state in such a hostile area, and it's unnecessary. I mean, like Nathan said, we already have a promised land right here. America gives the promise of religious free exercise, of work, success, and of course, these promises, they take different times to get there, but we just have to stay the course. And that means sometimes funding the right causes.
Thank you for confirming my beliefs. Among the civilized nations, the Jews seem to be very comfortably situated indeed. As far as the racial prejudice goes, Perhaps it cannot be entirely removed, but the Jew can stand that. After all, he's got thousands of years' experience.
Yeah, well, trust me, that doesn't help at all. But, you know, look, there is prejudice here, no question, but there is also a large degree of acceptance, and there's security.
Indeed, sadly. There are spots about the world where barbarous ignorance and animal instincts towards the Jews prevail.
Yes, the Russian Empire.
I do not believe that elsewhere, and especially in America, the Jew stands in any fear of being robbed and raided. He should be very proud of himself. His commercial importance is extraordinarily, extravagantly out of proportion to the smallness of his kind. His contributions to the world's list of great names in literature, science, art, music, finance, and medicine is also way out of proportion to the weakness of his numbers. Yes, gentlemen, you have every right to be vain of yourselves and be excused for it. I mean, look at you, Mr. Schiff. You are on the board of more banks and trusts and railroad companies than I have published novels.
Mr. Twain, this sugar doesn't suit you. I actually prefer your vinegar.
This was a bit of both, a concoction of my own making. But I suppose it should not have been made at your expense, or the expense of your people.
Well, as a writer, you would be far from original if you were to do so. In fact, hundreds of years ago, Mr. William Shakespeare took a pound of flesh from my people in his Merchant of Venice.
Ooh! Ooh! Touché! I do not think that I could ever compete with him, nor do I have the slightest inclination of doing so. Good day, gentlemen.
Oh, good day.
Good day, Tom Sawyer.
Well, he sure is fond of his opinions. But you know, the things that he says could just as easily make people hate the Jews as admire them.
I know what you're saying, Jacob. Sometimes I feel that Mr. Twain's flamboyant style is as much a part of his writing as it is of his persona.
It is.
It's getting late, though. Ooh, I have to go. Thank you again so much for your generosity.
Don't mention it, Nathan. No, literally, do not mention it.
If Talmud says.
God, please continue to hold us in thy mercy, that we may be able to help those less fortunate than ourselves.
Good morning, Mr. Schiff. I have an appointment. My name is Bella Green.
Yes, and you are the personal librarian of J.P. Morgan, my good friend. He says that you're an outstanding librarian. My library is a mess, and it needs some help. You interested?
Yes, sir. You have a very impressive collection.
Not nearly as impressive as JP's, but it's what I have. I hear you come from a good family.
Yes, sir. My father was the first colored Harvard graduate.
Well, that's a lot more impressive than any old book collection. And yourself?
Amherst College. And then I worked at the library at Princeton University. That's where Mr. Morgan saw me, and he offered me a position to work with him. I'm an expert in illuminated manuscripts.
Wow, that's excellent. So, you interested, Ms. Green?
Yes, I'm excited to get started. And please, call me Bella.
No. Please, proceed, Ms. Green. Nine. Scheiklik. Hey.
Mr. Schiff, what's wrong? You're paler than death. Is everything all right?
No, I'm not all right. There's been a pogrom in Russia. Do you know what a pogrom is?
I'm sorry, sir, I do not.
It's when neighbors kill their neighbors in large numbers because they are Jews. It's a massacre. You know massacre.
Yes, sir, I do. There was one in Polk County, Arkansas, some 7 years ago, on the railroad. White workers attacked colored workers, and 3 colored workers were killed. One of them was my cousin's husband, Abe.
What? Your cousin?
Cousin's,
I'm sorry.
Cousin's husband. And we weren't close. It's all right, Mr. Schiff, but you were saying? Please continue.
I was saying that a pogrom is a massacre of Jews by their neighbors.
But Mr. Schiff, Jewish people are white.
Yes, they are.
And pardon me, Mr. Schiff, who would massacre white people?
Other white people, non-Jewish white people.
White people killing their white neighbors?
Well, some people don't consider Jews to be white, as if that's something important anyway.
I did not know this. Pardon me, Mr. Schiff, but do you mind if I ask one more question? The people who commit these heinous crimes, what race do they consider the Jewish people? Surely not black, not red-skinned, not yellow. What race is the Jewish person?
It's an excellent question, and I'm not sure how to answer you.
I suppose I'll have to read up on that. In school, they taught us that Jewish people were the Hebrews of the Bible, the men of God.
Yeah, well, apparently, some people don't think of Jews as people at all. Can't believe what it says here. The priests led them on, and the cry went out, "Kill the Jews," all over the town. The Jews, they were slaughtered like sheep. The dead number more than 50, the seriously injured more than 500. And the scenes of horror are almost beyond description. Babies were literally torn to pieces by the frenzied mob. Women were raped and beaten and killed. Elderly were hacked with chop axes. By nightfall, the streets were lined with corpses, and the police did nothing to check this reign of terror.
I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Schiff. Where did this happen?
In the Russian Empire, a town called Kishinev.
Such barbarity, and not in the American South, but in a European country.
Russia has pretensions of being a European country, but it is not. It is primitive, it is brutal.
I'm terribly sorry. I don't suppose you have relatives there.
All Jews are my relatives. This will not go unpunished. This will not go unpunished.
Yes, Mr. Schiff.
The Tsar will pay dearly for this. As God warned Belshazzar when he punished the Jews in Babylon. Mene, mene, tekel, upharshim. You have been weighed in God's balance and found wanting, and the days of your kingdom are numbered. I will watch that Tsar fall like the idol in the prophecy of Daniel.
And lo, there was a great statue, and this statue was huge, and its brilliance extraordinary. Its head was made of fine gold, and its chest and arms of silver, its middle and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, and its feet of clay. And lo, a stone was cut and thrown not by the hand of man, and it struck those feet of clay, and it broke the statue in pieces.
And the statue fell and shattered, and wind carried the pieces away. You know your scriptures.
Well, the Bible is a book, Mr. Schiff. I know books.
Yeah. Well, I will become the stone which shatters that Tsar. And as sure as I am standing here now, I will bring that hateful empire down. So help me God.
Do not take revenge, but leave room for God's wrath. I'm sorry, Mr. Schiff, I did not mean to.
It's okay. You quote the new Bible. I follow the original. If you'll excuse me.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shall pogrom. This will not go unpunished.
"97, 98, 99, 100.
Mr. President, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt your New York vacation, but the matter is of the utmost importance. I'm sure you've heard about the massacre of Jews in Russia.
I have. I've read the recent report by Michael Davitt of the Evening Journal. It's a graphic description of the utmost horror, confirmed by the necessary documentary evidence. But we have taken action. I've written a letter to the Tsar. Let me read it to you. Okay. Your Imperial Majesty, Nicholas II, Emperor and Autocrat of all the Russias, it is persistently reported, upon what appears to be adequate authority, that there is a great want and suffering among the Jews in Kishinev. Friends in this country desire to know if financial aid and supplies would be permitted to reach the sufferers. Sincerely yours, with good intentions, Theodore Roosevelt. And this is a reply. His Imperial Majesty's Office of Foreign Relations denies that there is any want or suffering among the Jews in southwestern Russia, and aid of any kind is unnecessary, while the offer is appreciated and the spirit made is gratefully declined.
В Российской империи, так же как и в ряде других стран, существует настроение против определенной группы евреев.
Arthur Cassini, ambassador to the Russian Empire.
There is in Russia, as in Germany, Austria, and some other countries, a feeling against certain Jews. The reason for this unfriendly attitude lies in the fact that the Jew will not work in the field or engage in agriculture. They prefer to be money lenders instead. Give a Jew a couple of dollars and all of a sudden he becomes a banker and a usurer. In this capacity, of course, he takes advantage of the Russian peasant, whom he soon has in his power and ultimately destroys. It is only when the patience of the Russian peasant is exhausted that a conflict between the peasants and the Jews occurs. You have to understand that the Russian is a very patient person, but it is quite natural to have a feeling of resentment towards someone who has wrought your ruin. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation in Russia, as far as the Jews are concerned, is this. It is not Russians against the Jews. It is peasants against the bankers. There is no feeling against the Jews in Russia based on religion whatsoever. His Imperial Majesty Nicholas II and the Russian government afford the same protection to the Jews as they do to all of their citizens. And if, God forbid, a riot occurs and Jews are attacked, well, the Russian government takes all the necessary steps and immediately apprehends those who started the riot and brings severe punishment upon them.
Liar.
Who said that? something. The Russians are openly and readily assimilate with all the people of all religions, of all nationalities, and all cultures. And if for some reason the Russian cannot assimilate with the Jew, it is apparent that the fault must be with the Jew and not with the Russian. It's simple mathematics. Thank you.
Mr. President, what makes this particularly heinous is that there was a ministerial decree in place which specifically forbade the Jews from arming themselves for their own protection.
I see. It's hard to believe that now, in the year of our Lord 1903, these inhumanities still exist, much less in a country that fancies itself civilized, and in the European continent, no less.
Russia is not a European country. It has erected a European facade in its capital, but it is in essence missing what makes Europe Europe, the rule of law.
Mr. Schiff, meet O. Henry, one of our country's greatest writers.
Mr. Henry. Or should I say, Mr. Porter? Yeah, I've read some of your trash. Like The Love Filter of Ike Schoenstein. Yeah, you remember that one? It's about a Jewish pharmacist who betrays his Irish friend. Yeah, you describe that Jew as weak, kneed, and timid, right? And he has a bespectacled beak for a nose and a narrow, knowledge-bowed figure.
A fictional Jew is allowed to be an antagonist. You don't believe your people to be beyond reproach, do you, sir? Incapable of betrayal?
No more than any other people. But a treacherous Jew evokes the memory of the greatest betrayer of all, Judas Iscariot. And reading cheap, trite, literature like yours, which panders to this prejudice, invokes the idea that one can never trust a Jew.
Life creates stereotypes, Mr. Schiff.
No, Mr. Henry. Stereotypes shape life. I'm a Jew. Are you saying that I can't be trusted to keep my word? Is that your point?
Gentlemen, let's not bicker. For what it's worth, Mr. David, who first reported on the massacres in Kishinev, is an Irishman. These two peoples can coexist.
I do apologize. I was on my way out anyway.
Would you care for another double whiskey, Mr. Henry?
No, sir. I do not believe I could carry a double. Good day, Mr. President. Mr. Schiff, if you would like to continue this debate, my home, Pete's Tavern, is right around the corner.
The fact that the ambassador of Bessarabia was urgently called to St. Petersburg shows conclusively that the Imperial Russian authorities take very seriously the recent events in Kishinev, and the government is taking all the necessary steps to punish the guilty and to prevent repetitions of these disturbances. You have to rule them with iron fist, otherwise they just keep taking advantage of you. That's the only way you can manage these people.
Teddy, it's not just American Jews that are outraged by this. There's an outcry all over the country. There are ministers of all faiths giving sermons. There are editorials in the best newspapers. There's mass meetings going on, protests. On this outpouring of sympathy for Russia's Jews, I implore you, I respectfully request that the American government take effective action to force Russia to treat its Jews better.
Jacob, both you and I know that we cannot force Russia to do anything. Besides, they boast the largest army in the world.
You know, they showed the weakness of their army in the Crimean War. But they're not nearly as powerful as the Tsar thinks or as some Western powers fear. But I'll grant you this. Just urging Russia to do anything will accomplish nothing. We need to take effective action to force Russia's hand.
We're not declaring war on Russia. We're not even suggesting an embargo. Their land is too rich in natural resources. Tell you what, why don't I reach out to the Tsar, send them another letter and suggest that maybe they sell us another Alaska. I mean, they're still kicking themselves in the butts after the Klondike Gold Rush. What's beyond Alaska? Siberia!
Russia will never sell Siberia. If she did, where would she send her army of political prisoners? But I hear you. Look, let's talk, think about it. Let's talk about this later. In the meantime, I'll think about what I can do with the means that are available to me.
My friend, Jake, you are a wise man. I heard that you can trace your lineage all the way back to King Solomon. Are you sure that you want to take on this Goliath?
Teddy, I know I don't look like David, but I can fund 1,000 Davids. Well, Bella, the results of the Kishinev massacre trials are in. Have you heard? Over 400 rioters. Out of those 400, 2 were sent to prison. 2! And of all the civil actions brought by the Jews for the terrible crimes that were done to them for money damages, they were all dismissed by the government's puppet courts. What a sham.
Mr. Schiff, I attended a sermon in my church, and this is what our minister said. Today, the Jew in Russia is an alien in his land of birth, without the privileges of its meanest citizen, fettered in his movements, handicapped in his vocations, and restricted in his educational opportunities. A slave whose master does not protect him from abuse, he stands friendless, defenseless, and helpless against brute force. This is just like in the South.
Slaves in all but name. There is some good news. Since the massacre, tens of thousands of Jews have escaped from Russia. My friend Baron Rothschild, he paid 40 million of his own francs to help with some of those relocations.
This feels just like the Book of Ezra.
Just like the Book of Ezra. Then the Hebrews fled Babylon under Belshazzar. Now the Jews flee Russia under the Tsar. We need to do more. We need to do more. I mean, surely the Jews must leave Russia. But this new Babylon must fall as well. Jesus Christ. This will be my private war against the Tsar. I must find a way to fund the way to his downfall.
Well, knowing you, Mr. Schiff, it won't be long. I'll see you in a bit.
Mr. Schiff, please forgive my intrusion.
Mr. William Randolph Hearst, you know you can intrude upon my house whenever you like. So to what do I owe this honor, Bill? Is it your campaign for mayor of New York City?
Well, it may surprise you, but I am here in my other capacity as a publisher.
Well, they call you the king of the press.
And they call you the king of finance.
Yeah, well, just don't let them call me in your papers again the king of the Jews, all right?
That man was fired. But that is precisely, nay, related to the matter which brings me here today. You may have heard that it was I who sent Mr. David to Russia to uncover the atrocities that Russian Jews were subjected to.
You've earned the gratitude of every Jew in America.
I only did what any sensible journalist in the broadest sense of the word would be expected, nay, required to do. And having uncovered that series of massacres that spared no elderly or women or children, I do not hesitate to express my deep abhorrence of them, Persecution for religion's sake is repulsive enough, but when that persecution is accompanied by pillage and murder, it is twice as sickening. What a stain upon our civilization.
Yes, well, thank you for your sympathy, Bill. But forgive me for asking whether you came all this way to my house just with some compassion.
Indeed. Well, I understand that you and the other tycoons have raised a considerable sum in support of the Russian Jews. However, my sources tell me that you are interested in more than just relief. You would like the Russian government to be punished for what it did to your co-religionists.
You are extremely well informed, sir.
Well, I am not only a journalist, I am also a candidate for mayor of this great city of New York.
Well, Russia is the new Babylon. Delenda est. It must be destroyed.
I sympathize with your cause, sir, and I have some information that may make your crusade, if you will permit the Christian metaphor, possible. I have brought with me the newest shiny jewel in my publishing crown, the Alexandria of my empire, if you will. May I introduce America's greatest journalist and writer, Jack, come in here, Mr. Jack London.
If you're looking for trouble, you came to the right place. If you're looking for trouble,
Mr. Shit! Mr. Jack London. Or should I say, Mr. Chain?
Oh.
Oh. These writers sure don't like to use their real names, do they? And they say we Jews change our names a lot, huh? Well, Mr. London, please make yourself comfortable.
How do you do? You know, a few years ago, I wrote a short story called Children of Israel about a poor Jewish immigrant named Jacob. Several magazines rejected it, so I abandoned it.
A story about me and my youth? Of course they rejected it.
Jack here is the San Francisco Examiner's newest signee, with a very interesting assignment in the works. Jack here will be traveling to a rather exotic location, but you're no stranger to exotic locations, are you, Jack?
No, sir, I am not. Although I've had my fair share of freezing colds.
The call of the wild. Wonderful. This will be a warmer place. Mr. Schiff, there is a great deal of political trouble brewing in a remote part of the world, maybe the end of the world, if you will, the Far East. Russia is expanding, as all empires do, and its expansionist interests are about to clash with another local power, Japan.
Japan? Japan?
Yes. The floating kingdom is awakening from its 200-year slumber, and it is developing rapidly. It has built an army modeled on the German and a fleet on the English. It is highly ambitious and monolithic in spirit and discipline.
So what you're saying is there's going to be a war between Russia and Japan.
I am sure of it.
Can a non-European army defeat a European army on the field of battle?
Ethiopia defeated Italy, and not just in a single battle. They won the whole goddamn war.
Yeah. But if memory serves, Russia's economy is 3 times Japan's size. And the same for its population and its military.
Russia has a 1 million-man army. Yes, that's true. Japan, just 150,000. But that advantage is illusory. Russia is huge, but in this case, this is a disadvantage. Russia has only 100,000 troops in the region, and they are separated in garrisons hundreds of miles apart with just one line of communication and supply.
Trans-Siberia Railroad. Railroads rule work.
And if mobilized, Japan's army can expand to 500,000 and be deployed to Korea.
What about the famous Russian Navy?
The Russian fleet is several times that of the Japanese, but most of it is in the Black and Baltic Seas, half a world away. So you see, from a military standpoint, Japan has a fighting chance.
How about the economic perspective?
Well, that's where you come in, Jacob. Japan will need money, and your connection in American financial circles are second to none.
I'm listening.
For my part, Jack here will be the special war correspondent for the San Francisco Examiner, covering the upcoming Russo-Japanese War. Jack, you can be in Yokohama by January. You don't have to just write nice things about the Japanese. Just be your normal, brilliant pen, and try to stay out of trouble this time.
Oh, Mr. Hearst, I cannot promise that. Trouble seems to find me, usually in the form of police. Do they even have police in Japan?
I think so. Well, Bill, I agree. This is very promising. An expensive and embarrassing war would be fine retribution to the Tsar for his crimes. Has it occurred to you it might sell some newspapers, too?
It occurs to me.
All right. Let me think on what I might do. Babylon will fall.
Good luck, sir. God bless. The story gets better every time you tell it.
I know. Oh, woo! Oh, Mr. Hurst, perhaps my question might seem strange to you.
They often do.
What is your opinion of that Jewish king of finance, Jacob Schiff?
I would say he is very opinionated, extremely shrewd, and superbly knowledgeable about all things involving money and railroads. Inside his head, he carries every railroad company, every engine, every foot of track, and every man connected to every railroad, from the president down to the last brakeman.
Such was my impression too. Impeccable to the extreme.
Well, Schiff considers J.P. Morgan his friend. Morgan considers Schiff his equal.
The word has it, he is ambitious, opportunistic, fastidious, and fearless. Wait, that's 4 words.
Well, I understand it. Dinner at the Schiff household begins at 6:30 sharp every evening, and any person arriving late at table misses their supper.
Don't ask me how I know, Mr. Henry, but I had heard that you were a fly on the wall when Schiff got an audience with the president.
Yes, sir, I was. I admit the fly was a little inebriated, but he was in presence and even allowed to open his mouth once before Schiff squished it.
I wish there were 2 flies on that wall. I admit, I don't have much love for bankers. They give you an umbrella when the sun shines brightly, and they demand it back the minute it rains.
Bankers have built this nation, but I would not be surprised if one day they will be this nation's ruin.
Well, I could say that at the moment, Jacob Schiff is more an Old Testament warrior than a banker. He is positively obsessed with the Russian Empire and bringing its ruin.
I've been to Russia once, a long time ago. This was the time after Russia freed her slaves, just like America freed hers. Sadly, both performers, Tsar Alexander and President Lincoln, met similar fate.
From the opposite sides, incidentally. The Tsar was assassinated by a revolutionary, the president by a reactionary.
Opposites attract and radicals converge in their derision of the same.
Have you heard how Schiff treated his son-in-law, Felix Warburg? Well, first he would not allow him to marry his daughter until he signed a contract taking a position with Schiff's bank. Then after a time, the young man wanted to go on his own or something and tendered his resignation. Do you know what Schiff did?
Tore it up.
Schiff looked him in the eye and said, "If you leave this firm, I'll see to it you never work in America again."
Ooh, no joke.
Schiff does not issue threats lightly. He is more than capable of carrying them out.
He is like a king in Greek tragedy.
You said son-in-law. Is Schiff even married?
Oh, yes. He's been with the same woman nearly 30 years. Every night, he comes home and he reads her lists of railroad companies and financial transactions, and it promptly puts her to sleep, of course. There have been no mistresses and no scandals. The man has a perfect one-track, nay, railroad track mind, and I do not envy the man who tries to cross that track. But that said, he is a philanthropist non-pareil, especially around immigrant causes. He personally visits patients at the Montefiore Hospital. For one aspiring merchant, he bought a candy store. For a man who cut hair in Europe, a barber shop.
Ho, ho, ho. A banker, Santa.
A two-track mind then. One for his charities and another for his enemy and his family.
Schiff, here's my newest letter to the Tsar. Your Imperial Majesty, Nicholas II, the Jews were the victim of an indefensible lawlessness. Their westward migration has become so great, it now ranks with the exodus from Egypt. We petition your Majesty to proclaim that none of your subjects shall again suffer in person, property.
Yeah. And what did they say? Oh, wait, let me know.
That is correct. They decline our petition.
Then they will receive war. Russia wants a cue to the war that's quick and victorious. We can make sure that it's going to be neither quick nor victorious. We can make it devastating to their military, their economy, their prestige in the world. This can be the downfall of the Tsar. Teddy, you know that the Russian government is the enemy of mankind. We need to tear it down to its foundations, build it back up again for the good of its oppressed people and for the greater good.
I have the utmost distrust in Russia. I believe they're acting like barbarians.
Yes.
But I also believe in spheres of influence. The U.S. dominates the Western Hemisphere. Britain dominates India and the Middle East. The Far East is open for grabs. Now, I have no objection to Japan dominating the Far East. It can begin in Korea, work its way up against the Russians in Manchuria. But that's a side note to our conversation, isn't it? You want to speak about Jews.
Hey.
Jacob, remember that I was once a New York City police commissioner?
Of course I do.
Let me tell you a story. Have a seat. There were many Jewish policemen under my supervision. They were all great men. In fact, you could call them the Maccabee type. One day, a man came from abroad. I am sorry to say, a clergyman, to start an anti-Jewish agitation and hold meetings to my attention. But there was little I could do to stop it. I didn't have the power of freedom of speech, you know, all that.
Yep.
So, I gave the matter much thought, and I detailed a Jewish sergeant and 40 Jewish policemen to protect the assailant while he held his meetings and made speeches to assail the Jews. So he made his speeches assailing those Jews protected by, exclusively,
The Jews.
the Jews.
Eddie, that is a wonderful example of how we handle these kinds of situations in America. But unfortunately, most of the world does not follow your great example of tolerance and wit.
As a former cop, I fully understand your motives and your needs. So I am going to present you with a unique opportunity. So it happens that Baron Takahashi, the deputy governor of the Bank of Japan, is going to be in Paris in April. Now, I heard he's open to certain financial arrangements, if you will. How would you fancy a trip to France?
Teddy, I can't think of a better time or reason for me to go to France.
Now, please, understand, this is a private initiative.
Yeah.
There will be no U.S. officials involved.
No, I get it. I get it. You're not going to join me, but you're not going to stop me either.
Just remember, keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground.
Mr. President, I regret to inform you that shortly after my arrival at Yokohama, I was arrested as a spy by the Japanese authorities. Clearly, they were not privy to my mission or my presence.
I will have my ambassador intervene. In the meantime, Jacob, go get those bastards.
I will fund my Davids, Mr. President. Baron Takahashi, it is my great honor to meet you. Just 3 months ago, your country declared war on Russia, and already you have dealt a serious blow to its forces in the East, including its powerful navy. But I understand that the war is imposing a financial strain upon your government, and that additional capital is needed. I believe in your cause. So, I am prepared to extend loans in the amount of $200 million US to the Empire of Japan to fund the war effort. I trust this will be sufficient to meet your needs for the war for the foreseeable future.
Mr. Schiff, on behalf of the Empire of Japan, I offer you my sincerest gratitude. May I ask, why is your government trying to help my country?
Well, President Roosevelt has great respect and admiration for the Empire of Japan, and he believes, as I do, that you are fully capable of beating the Russians. However, the U.S. government is not in a position at this time to officially support your military action. As a result, the money that's being offered to you today is not from the American government. It is my money. I'm going to fund this war. I have my reasons.
Mr. President, I regret to inform you that I was just arrested by the Japanese authorities again. This time for straying too close to the border with Manchuria and sent back to Seoul. I am a journalist, goddammit! How am I supposed to do my job here?
Subsequent to my communication with the Japanese Field Command, you are hereby granted permission to travel with the Imperial Japanese Army.
Well, that's better. In that case, I am thrilled to report that I have observed firsthand the first major land battle of this war, the Battle of Yalu. The so-called early detachment of the Russian army was dispatched to prevent the first Japanese army from crossing the Yalu River from Korea into China. The Russians grossly underestimated the Japanese, who had nearly 3 times the numbers on them.
The Russians did not believe the yellow race could be so skilled at the art of war.
The Russian general stubbornly refused to retreat, even sending Tsar Nicholas a telegram with assurances of close victory. There was victory, but not his. All Russian artillery destroyed by Japanese howitzers, German-made. All Russian infantry driven from their trenches and fled. Japan won its first significant military victory.
If nothing else, it removed the perception that my country will be easy prey, that the war will be short, and that Russia's triumph is assured. The bear expected to face a pig, but instead found a tiger.
And a fierce one at that. Keep fighting, and I will keep funding you. Having gold is much less important than doing what is right. Godspeed, my David.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Schiff. My name is not David.
Oh, of course not. The apologies are all mine. I wish you and your brave countrymen continued success.
Mr. President, I've worked with writers, and you have to take the good with the bad.
Mr. Hearst, this is not working out. The damn Japanese are too restrictive. They're blocking my every step. Please, allow me to transfer to the Imperial Russian Army, where I believe the restrictions on my reporting and my movements will be less severe.
President,
Doesn't it?
Never mind, Mr. Hearst. I was just arrested again. This time for assaulting my Japanese servant, whom I caught stealing hay from my horse.
God damn it! 3 arrests in 4 months. I feel like I'm the New York City Police Commissioner again. What is this, the 5 points? I will personally send a message to the Japanese command. But you tell Mr. London, enough is enough.
Yes, Mr. President.
Jack, oh Jack, yes, I'm sorry it is not working out. TR sending telegram on your behalf. Who knows, maybe the day will come when the Japanese will appreciate your genius.
That's right. I am bloody out of here.
The secret ingredient to all success is to get along with people even in the middle of a war. With self-discipline, anything is possible. Without it, one's own success is marred by a criminal record.
Yes, Mr. President. Maybe we start to talk for a trip.
Jacob, we've been friends for quite a while, and, you know, I've been reluctant to tell you because I know how you feel about this subject. Just like you are committed to your causes, I decided to fully subscribe to the Zionist cause.
What?
Zionism, Jacob, true Zionism. Theodor Herzl.
The Jews need their own national state, and in Palestine, where else?
Nathan.
Where but in Jerusalem?
Nathan, how could you? You hurt me to the core. You of all people. You used to be so excited about our American Zionism, and now you go to Jewish nationalism, to nativism.
But listen to me, Jacob.
No, you listen to me. America's made me what I am. It's been the home to millions of immigrants, and it is the land, the promised land. There is free exercise of religion here. There is no Jewish ghettos. There's no forced baptism of our children, no Christian indoctrination of our kids in school. And this is all enshrined in the Constitution's Bill of Rights. This is a government that doesn't persecute us, it protects us. America is our Zion. We do not need another one.
Think about it, Jacob. The Jewish state with a capital in Jerusalem. Why should the Jews be different from all others?
Let's say, all right, you get what you want, right? A Jewish state, Jerusalem, the whole thing. Where does that leave us? American Jews. Are we Americans or are we Jews? How can we be loyal to one country for our political affiliation and loyal to another one for our spiritual and religious affiliation? You see, this is why they don't trust Catholics in this country. Huh? Everybody asks, who are they loyal to? The president in Washington or the Pope in Rome?
Well, this does not bother the Irish or the Italian. They are Catholic, but they're also American.
They have their own countries of national origin, Ireland and Italy. But their homeland is America. Why can't the Jews have the same?
Because the Jews' country of national origin does not exist. Yeah. This would be a new country formed to create a new loyalty. And there are huge practical problems that you're inviting here. The British will never allow it. The Arabs will protest this vehemently, and our love for America should not permit this. No, Nathan, I have tried to keep an open mind about this. I have really tried. But I have closed the door on Zionism.
I'm very sorry to hear that, Jacob. I truly hope you reconsider.
No, Nathan, I am resolved. And I am too damn old to change my mind about something that I've spent my whole life cherishing and pursuing.
Mr. Sheep, allow me to assure you that nobody in Russia is more sympathetic to the Jewish welfare than me. You may have heard that last year in St. Petersburg, I met with another Jew of influence, Theodore Herzl. I even proposed to put pressure on Turkey to allow the Jews to return to Palestine. I passed that proposition to the Tsar.
Minister Pleve, you also passed along to the Tsar your opinion that Judaism is antithetical to Russian patriotism. Huh? The reality is, you have done nothing to stop the slaughter of Jews. The butchery in Kishinev did not happen back in the Dark Ages. It happened on your watch. And, of course, the violence itself was perpetrated by ignorant peasants. But behind them, pushing at their backs, was your cruel government, which encouraged and abetted them. Your claim that you are sympathetic to the Jews, it just adds insult to injury. You are an accessory to a huge crime.
Mr. Sheep, can we please arrange a meeting? Your activity in supporting the Japanese warfare has been a source of serious vexation to His Imperial Majesty. Would you consider a visit to Russia for negotiations?
Sure. I'll consider a visit to Russia on just one condition. That Russia first removes all visa restrictions preventing the emigration of Jews out of Russia.
But Mr. Sheep!
But nothing. This is not negotiable. Frankly, under your regime, I see no hope for Jews other than immigration. And Minister, mark my words. You will suffer the consequences for your barbarism and your anti-Semitism, your empire generally, and you personally.
This just in, Russian Minister Pleve assassinated in St. Petersburg by a bomb-throwing revolutionary.
Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin. The days of your kingdom are numbered.
Mr. Schiff, allow me to assure you, nobody in Russia is more sympathetic to the Jewish welfare than me. My wife was a Jew by birth, later christened, of course.
Minister Vita, please do not trivialize this serious problem with your compromised personal anecdote. You have a problem, sir. Your maltreatment of the Jews is no longer a domestic matter for Russia. Oh no, the whole world is watching now. And decent people around the world have committed themselves to improving the condition of Russia's Jews. And for those who are in your country and cannot leave, there is only one thing that can end their suffering: the immediate grant of full civil rights.
Mr. Schiff, but a Russian Jew in general is not sufficiently prepared for full civil rights. Nor is the state of the Russian people such that the Jew may be placed on equal footing with him without this leading to serious internal disorder. The existing disabilities must be removed gradually.
That is nonsense, and you know it. Over 1 million Jews have emigrated from Russia, leaving the terrible darkness of your regime into the most beautiful sunlight of American freedom, and they have done fine. Other countries, England, France, they have granted full civil rights to their immigrant Jews. The Jews have thrived in those countries, and the countries have thrived with them.
Mr. Schiff, must you?
Must I? Must I nothing? I'm telling you something. Your maltreatment of the Jews is affecting American policies against Russia. And I happen to know that there are many people in Russia who are working within that country to undermine your government. Wouldn't it be a big surprise to you if the millions of Jews whom you have oppressed do not rise up in numbers with them against the government that has put its boot upon their necks?
Пошли к черту!
And the Lord said, I will punish all those who oppress my children. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 20.
Again, more, again, suffering, necessary to no one, utterly uncalled for. Again, lies. Again, the brutalization and stupefaction of men. One can understand how a poor, illiterate fellow from Central Russia, brought by centuries of violence and deceit, can come to see the greatest crime in the world, the murder of one's brother, as a virtuous act, and be incited to do that deadly deed and not see himself as guilty. But what of so-called enlightened men who preach war, practice war, participate, but not in any way that would put themselves in danger, but poor, unfortunate brothers they send to fight and die.
Count Tolstoy, ladies and gentlemen, has become the enemy of the Russian people. He is a madman and an agent of foreign interests. Граф Толстой сделался врагом Российской империи. Он безумец, а также является агентом иностранной разведки. У меня все, Ваша честь.
Oh, these mendacious speeches, preaching devotion to the monarch, a willingness to sacrifice one's life. Oh, excuse me. No, some peasant's life to defend the land, which they cannot own. This stupefaction and brutalization of men is the symbol of the utter criminality of the bloody business, like a murderer who has begun cutting up his victim and now cannot stop. The Russian people are told, we must finish what we started, as if this is the irrefutable argument in favor of continuing the war. The war has begun, and therefore must continue. And the mad, bestial people continue their deadly work.
Woo! Count Tolstoy! 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 Have become the enemy of the Russian people. He is a madman and an agent of foreign interests. See what I mean? Thank you. You know, when I was a little kid, I had trouble sleeping. So my mother would come and kiss me goodnight. And then my father would come and slap me good night. I am not sure which one I liked better. Thank you, Vadim. But then my mother used to sing this lullaby to me, which made me fall asleep like a baby. Жалобно стонет ветер осенний, листья кружатся поблекшие, сердце наполнилось чувством томления. Вспомнилось счастье ушедшее. Помнятся летние ночи веселые, нежные речи приветные. Очи лазурные, рученьки белые, ласки любви бесконечные. Thank you. Thank you.
Our marching song is over, and the battle fought, and the hoofs no longer make the sound. Bullets made a strainer out of our old pot. That subtle girl is lying on the ground. Bullets beat the strainer out of her old pot. The subtle girl is lying on the ground. We are hurting and the enemy is hurt, and we both took you to count. When we are alive, we all are frontline dirt. When we die, we all are heaven bound. When we are alive, we all are frontline dirt. When we die, we all are heaven bound. Hands are on the weapon, and the heart is set, and the soul's already in the air. Why do we keep writing blood words on the sand? For letters nature doesn't care. Why do we keep writing blood words on the sand? For letters nature doesn't care. Sleep in peace, my brothers, everything will die. New commanders will give out the orders. New soldiers will be born in time to occupy their eternal military quarters. New soldiers will be born in time to occupy their eternal military quarters. Don't you worry, brothers, all will come again, for in nature everything repeats. Empty words and bullets, love and war and pain, but we'll never find the time for peace. Empty words and bullets, love and war and pain, we will never find the time for peace.
I am happy to announce that Russia suffered 2 crushing defeats. The Battle of Mukden on land and Battle of Tsushima on sea. Both the Russian army and the Russian navy have been obliterated. Yet, despite these happy occurrences, I believe my country is reaching its limits.
Sounds like it's time to sign a peace treaty.
I have read the proposed conditions, and I find them agreeable. Japan keeps Korea, Manchuria, and half the Isle of Sakhalin. I must say that I find this catastrophe unthinkable without...
Sir Jacob Schiff, it is my honor for your great services to the Empire of Japan to present you with the Order of the Sacred Treasure. You are the first foreigner to receive this high honor. ジェイコブ・シフ殿、あなたは大日本帝国の発展に大いに尽力され、その功績をたたえ、ここに明治天皇より勲一等旭日大綬章を授与いたす。おめでとうございます。
Sir Takahashi, I am deeply honored by this. I am also very grateful to your country for the fine job it has done with this campaign. It will greatly assist my further efforts against Russia.
My dear Schiff, the war is over.
Not for me, it isn't.
Do not tell that story in front of my wife.
Please. What was that award again, William?
Schiff was given the Order of the Sacred Treasure.
As if Schiff needs any more treasure.
Oh, now, this one is sacred, though. Well, if you both think that I'm going to say that to a Jew all treasures are sacred, you are wrong. No more bad Jewish jokes from me.
As you know, his trip there caused an eruption. He traveled with this large entourage of friends and family and servants. Along the way, he had a private audience with the Empress of Hawaii and the Emperor of Japan.
He must have channeled the spirit of his supposed ancestor, King Solomon.
Oh, and at the banquet, where he was to receive the award, Schiff wanted to propose a toast. He was then advised against it because apparently it's not their custom and the emperor might misunderstand. Nevertheless, once everyone was seated, Schiff stands up and says, "To the Emperor of Japan, first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his country." Did you believe that?
He couldn't come up with something more original?
Now you don't want to compete with us in the field of fine writing, do you? Our profession is already crowded.
Well, I do not know how much longer you and I have left, Sid. But after we are gone, who shall replace us? Who will carry on the banner of American literature?
Probably someone who can't string together a compound sentence.
But you know there's more. Apparently the emperor had not heard of George Washington or was too polite to ask. But after the ceremony, Schiff is introduced by Baron Takahashi to his 15-year-old daughter, Wakiko. And the Schiffs, of course, are very polite. At one point, Jacob Schiff says, "Oh, you must visit us in New York sometime." Just being polite, and he probably immediately forgot it. But Baron Takahashi did not. The next morning, he appears at the Schiff's hotel and announces,
Even though it is highly unusual in my culture for a girl of such young age to travel to a distant foreign country without her family, but given Mr. Schiff's exceptional services to the nation of Japan, my wife and I agreed to permit our precious Wakiko to go to New York with Mr. Schiff and stay there for a term of no longer than 3 years.
Surely you are not serious.
that's what old Mrs. Schiff said. But Jacob Schiff is good to his word.
He did not even care that his word was mistranslated and misunderstood.
My daughter went to New York with Mr. Schiff and lived in his house for 3 years, learning English language, American hospitality, and Jewish traditions. The first words she learned were automobile and fast.
This is indeed astonishing.
And to top it all, for months after she left, the Schiffs were finding little affectionate notes that she had left behind picture frames and in sofa cushions expressing her gratitude. So yes, she had a lovely time in America.
See here, gentlemen. Well, I would like to propose a different subject to discuss. All three of us share a dislike of bankers.
But not of their money.
That's right. One should not criticize other people on grounds that he cannot stand perpendicular himself.
Yeah, well, money matters to us all and feeds us, even if bread is made of flour, not of wheat futures. But I ask you, gentlemen, do you think Schiff does what he does out of the goodness of his heart? I have discovered that men of wealth do try to repent and soothe their conscience, even if they have often lost the power to make restitution.
Yeah. If I were to redesign a man, he would not have any conscience. It is one of the most disagreeable things in a person. Now, conscience, it certainly does a great deal of good. But in the long run, it would be much better for him if he had less good and more comfort. It's like carrying inside an anvil.
There's your stupid paradox. As you can tell, I did take Schiff's criticism to heart. After our little chat a couple of years ago, well, I wrote a story, The Unknown Quantity, where one of the two main characters is a Jewish socialist watchmaker.
Oof, a socialist.
No, see, I was intrigued by the question, of the responsibility of wealth. Now, Schiff is a millionaire who is trying to right the wrongs of the world. Well, I admire his good intentions, but I am asking you, gentlemen, does he mean it? Or is he merely trying to atone for his riches? And another question mark, can he really do anything meaningful?
As I see it, when a politician is elected, he owes his allegiance to the voters who elected him. Now, unfortunately, mostly the voters have no idea what is really good for them. But now when Schiff gives up his money, he only needs to answer to his own conscience. Therefore, he is in position to do much more good than any politician.
Are you saying what I think you're saying, William? That we should leave the well-being of society at the means of the tycoons? Oh, spoken like a true failed civil servant. You ran for mayor, for governor, and for the president, all 3 times unsuccessfully.
See how we all flatter ourselves? Thinking that if only we were rich, we could do an extraordinary amount of good in this world. We could feed the hungry, we could house the beggars, we could stop the wars, and so on. So we closely watch the rich and we imagine ourselves in their place. Now, if the rich do good and they meet our expectations, well, we say, oh, that is expected of them because, well, with wealth comes responsibility. Or they do it to soothe their conscience. Or even, they have ulterior motives. And if the rich fall short of our expectations, well, we all turn into socialists and we exclaim, eat them!
Speaking of eating, gentlemen, I think I should get you some food. I'm buying.
That's something good.
Thank you for coming. We really haven't spoken since the Russo-Japanese War, and that has saddened me greatly. Will you please come join me for a contact?
L'chaim.
Okay.
And now, a much bigger war is going on, much bloodier.
No, indeed. The so-called war to end all wars. May it be so. But I have my doubts. Well, it may interest you to know that since the war, I've been looking for opportunities to kind of stick the Russian bear in the ribs. I've been funding many revolutionaries there. I persuaded President Taft to withhold a trade bill that the Russians wanted. I've been supporting...
But you should ask yourself, have you done enough?
I will never do enough. Cannot revive our slaughtered kin. There are still millions of Jews oppressed in Russia. But I work to support the enemies of the Tsar. I am working to create chaos in Russia just as I am working to create prosperity in the United States. I mean, I think that's fair to both sides, don't you?
Definitely, Jacob, definitely. You established Hebrew Union College, the Jewish division in the American New York Public Library, the American Jewish Committee. You created thousands of jobs for the immigrants. You founded an additional point of immigrant entry in Galveston, Texas. And you're not only limiting your charity to the Jews. Oh no, you are a donor to the American Museum of Natural History, to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, to Fine Arts Society, to Bernard College, to the Boy Scouts. Did I forget something? Oh, yes, the New York Zoo.
And your point is?
What about Zionism, Jacob?
Nathan. Oh my God, Nathan. America is our Zion.
Time will tell.
My friend.
You received a telegram, Mr. Schiff.
Thank you for coming. I wanted to see you after I went to see my friend J.P. Morgan. I went to his house, I saw his library. You have turned it into a marvel. But the most impressive thing about the whole setup for me was that you didn't hide his rare books down in some vault under lock and key. No, no, no. You made them available to the public. I see that you try to do good for the public in what you do. I always thought you were a kindred spirit that way.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Schiff. That's high praise coming from you. I'm also working very hard on making my boss's library a public institution. Soon there'll be as many exhibitions as the New York public can handle, and more.
Well, your enthusiasm is infectious, and I'm sure you'll succeed. Excuse me a second. The Russian Revolution. It has succeeded. The Tsar has abdicated.
This was the fight of your life and you won.
Oh my God. Praise God. I have prayed for this. I've worked for this for so long. And the reality is hard for me to accept. The empire is no more. And I live to see it. I guess you can call me the stone now, huh?
Despite your stony facade, Mr. Schiff, you are certainly not stone. You're a very good man, a very godly man, and your deeds make our Lord proud.
God expects us to do what we can with what we have. And he has rewarded the righteous. I do wonder what will happen next. I mean, there are still millions of Jews who live in Russia. Maybe with those numbers I should be optimistic, huh? That maybe the prejudice will fade, that maybe this will become a thing of the past. But you and I know prejudices die hard, huh? And for those who want to leave, can they even go? I mean, the Great War still rages in Europe. Millions of people have been displaced, and that has led to a backlash against immigration in many places, including America. That bigoted bastard Congressman Johnson, with his awful restrictive immigration bill, that he got Congress to override President Wilson's veto of his bill. And now
It's law.
it's law.
And who does it apply to? Mostly Orientals, but it doesn't take a crystal ball to see where that's going.
We will stop this stream of alien blood from entering our country unchecked and uncontrolled.
Albert Johnson, American congressman, ultra-conservative, anti-immigration, anti-Semitic.
We must work to preserve the old stock American hegemony.
Mr. Johnson, how can you spew this racist hatred sewage in good conscience? Just what do you think you're accomplishing?
Exactly what I say I'm doing, Banker Schiff. Immigration is killing this country. There is strong support for anti-immigrant measures from all fronts, the right and the left.
Oh, sure. You've got lots of support. I heard the Ku Klux Klan is a big fan of yours.
Not just the Klan, Mr. Schiff. The American Federation of Labor is gravely concerned about cheap immigrant workers competing with the local workforce. The Immigration Restriction League has never been more popular. Our support grows in Congress every day.
And that support is mean-spirited and short-sighted. What's it going to mean for America and the world if Ellis Island closes its gates? What good is it going to be that we've created a Zion here if Zion is put out of reach? Is the day going to come when a Jew who seeks to escape persecution, who seeks to escape extermination, is going to be denied refuge in this country? If his ship is turned around, where is he supposed to go? Are we no longer going to accept the world's huddled masses yearning to breathe free, like it says in the Statue of Liberty? You are not protecting this country. You are debasing it. You are tarnishing its high ideals and its stature in the world.
I can see what you are doing, Schiff. You want to displace the Anglo-Saxons from America. Now, the Jewish immigrants you bring into this country are filthy, un-American, and often dangerous in their habits. Real Americans can see right through you, sir. Now, real Americans, they do not want you.
You know nothing of my motives. And the only reason people can't see all the way through you is because you're particularly dense. You don't have arguments. You just have racist hatred. And what you say is so wrong that it's foolish. The immigrants displace nobody. You see, idiots like you have resisted every wave of immigration. The Germans, the Irish, the Italian, the Chinese, everybody. People who worked hard, people who made this country great. And you forget something. The greatest threat that this country ever faced came from within. Just 50 years ago, with the Anglo-Saxons of the Confederacy, the same people that you now champion. You don't even believe what you're saying. You're pandering to prejudice cynically to get political power that you don't deserve, and you don't even know how to use it responsibly.
You will lose, Schiff.
No. As long as I breathe, I will fight you in your bigoted, hateful cause. I did not turn America into a haven for the world's Jews just for that bastard to lock them out. Johnson and his hoodlums, they have to be stopped. But I don't know if I can keep this up long enough. My will is strong, but my body, it grows old. Bella, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I can't keep this up long enough.
Mr. Schiff, you've already done so much. You changed the world. You changed America. And you did it all anonymously, not for remembrance or recognition. You chose charity, and not for yourself, but for your fellow human beings. So have some faith in your fellow men. They may yet surprise you.
I just need to win this one last battle.
Oh, may God give me the strength.
Jacob! Jacob! Read this! You said the British will never agree.
Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you the following declaration of sympathy with the Jewish Zionist aspirations. Ha. His Majesty's government will view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use the best efforts to facilitate the achievement of this object. Yours sincerely, Lord Balfour.
Mazel tov!
Mazel tov indeed. Wow, that is big news. But tell me, Jacob, tell me, Nathan, how realistic is this plan, huh?
Well, it's going to be an uphill battle, but it's definitely a great start. This is the first expression of support for Zionism by a major power.
Yeah.
What say you now, Mr. Schiff?
All right, I confess to be on a fence. Huh? Don't ask me to say more than that.
Isn't that a major shift of opinion?
A major shift of opinion? I'm never short on opinions. But this does change the calculus. This could work with the British support. And it could provide another place for immigration for Jews if it's blocked elsewhere. One of my life's work here in America.
Your life's work was creating the American Zion. But there is only one Jerusalem, Jacob. And the Jews have been removed from Jerusalem for thousands of years. But Jerusalem
Has never been removed from the Jews. Huh?
Exactly. We can build it together now, Jacob. Think about it. The Jewish state, the capital in Jerusalem. If you now officially join the American Zionist organization, it will give us a great boost.
Perhaps, Nathan. But I'm afraid I don't have much time. Huh? If you need to start this work, and I'm no longer with you, which will almost certainly be the case, I commend you to find support from a very capable and zealous advocate, my son-in-law, Felix Warburg.
You're not too old to reconsider an opinion, which means you're still young, Jacob.
Godspeed, Nathan. Shalom.
Shalom.
Go build it, Nathan. It'll be difficult. But look what we did in this country. Surely you can do it again in Palestine, despite the challenges. Dear God, I once was the stone which shattered the idol of the New Babylon. That was a time to scatter stones. Now is the time to gather them, to build a better future for my people and for the greater good. Amen.
Jacob Schiff passed away September 25th, 1920. He was one of the greatest philanthropists in American history and an iconic figure for American Jews. The years 1880 through 1920 are often referred to as the Schiff era. However, shortly after his death, anti-immigration forces prevailed. The 1924 Johnson-Reed Anti-Immigration Act effectively ended anti-Jewish immigration in America for over 20 years. It was one of the contributing factors to the Holocaust. The Russian question, the Jewish question, the immigration question remain in American politics to this day. God be with you till we meet again. By his counsel's guide, uphold